say to me, then say it to my face. What it's all about, why you're bailing out. Think you owe me an apology. Just say it to my face. You're sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. Say it to my face. You're sorry. And I quit my job for you, even quit some friends for you, 'cause you couldn't stand it, me all independent, so you had to have me for yourself. That was when I trusted you, when I could add up 2 and 2, when you promised we'd be together, you, me, forever. Now there's nothing left to lose. And though I understand it's hard sometimes to make up your mind in these trying times, yeah, I just can't accept you leaving me when I'm overseas with the heart so heavy. Think that I deserve the truth for once, not a guilty tone, 'cause you're not alone, yeah. You said you wanna come home, but I know you don't. So this time I won't hear it on the phone. If you got something to say to me, then say it to my face. What it's all about, why you're bailing out. Think you owe me an apology. Just say it to my face. You're sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. Say it to my face. You're sorry.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Today is Thursday. It is February 10th, 2022. Thank you so much for joining us at the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. We have a jam-packed episode this morning for you. We will be speaking with union organizing champion, Brother Christian Smalls, who has been taking the charge, taking the lead on the unionizing efforts that we've seen at Amazon. A young Black brother who has come under attack from the corporate side of Amazon. He'll be joining us today to discuss the ongoing efforts to unionize Amazon warehouses across the country. We'll also be joined, in Like It or Not, of course, by Rebecca Azor on the clock with Georgia Fort. And I do believe that we have Brother Carl Mack with us this morning. I want to just jump right into some of the conversations. Brother Mack, good morning. How are you?
Good, Brother Ben. How you doing this morning? You're looking good.
Well, appreciate you, man. I'm doing well. And sometimes when you ask people how they're doing, some people want to tell you, I'm doing good, man. I had a wonderful time meditating this morning at the beach. And it is just kind of a thing that I've had to do while I'm on this particular assignment. I'm covering a story, and it has taken me to a place where I just have found respite and some time to have a moment of reflection. And I shared a post on Twitter, a picture of it. And one of the things that that hit me this particular morning was this thought, and I have it on Twitter. If anyone, David, if you want to pull it up, it was just a little thought that came to me this morning. It said, "I am legend. Hear me roar. Something the world has never seen before. A free Black man? No, even more. A free Black people, evermore." So I'm doing good. That hit me this morning, and I'm like, I think that's something that the world is getting ready to see. A collective of Black people who are not just free individually, but free collectively, a unified collective Black people who are free. So I'm doing pretty good this morning, Brother Mac. How you doing?
Good, man. A thought hit me this morning, and I think I'm about to do a commentary, and I'm gonna call it "I Spotted India." And basically, I'll be talking about the courage of India I read to tell Spotify. My dignity and my self-respect is not worth the few pennies you want to pay me so that you can now pay someone else to insult me. So that's the title of it. That's right. I Spotted India. Wow.
What is going on? Both of us probably need to wake up and turn on some Saturday morning cartoons or something, because our mornings be intense. But here we are. On a mission to cover not only what's happening in the world, but to contextualize it from a historical perspective. So, hey, Google, what happened today in Black history?
On February 10th, 1927, performer Leontyne Price was born in Laurel, Mississippi. Accepting a scholarship to the prestigious Juilliard School of Arts, on January 27th, 1961, Price made her Metropolitan Opera debut in Il Trovatore. Her performance was so outstanding, she received a 42-minute ovation. Leontyne was the first Black performer to ever achieve worldwide status as prima donna assoluta, the leading female soloist in the company. Adapted from Black Heritage Day 4 calendar by author, lecturer, and civil rights activist Dr. Carl Mack.
Laurel, Mississippi. I know Laurel, Mississippi. I grew up around Brookhaven, Mississippi, which is just a little bit south of Jackson, which I know is some of your stomping grounds.
Absolutely. So ain't a whole lot to be said about, the thing that I love about Leontyne is not only is she from the great state of Mississippi, but the fact that, when we think about our accomplishments, it's reading about people like her that drew me to even the arts of opera, and to know that she's a worldwide prima donna, a diva. Yeah. This is the beautiful thing. So today we celebrate
42-minute standing ovation. 42-minute.
That's when you bring the house. That's when you bring the house, when you get it like that, right?
That is Black excellence. That is Black magnificence, to be quite honest with you.
At its best.
Yeah, no, absolutely love it. And obviously, this is from the Black Heritage Days 4 calendar. You can get it at blackheritagedays.com. And that is from Brother Mac. Brother Mac, I know you've talked about it pretty regularly, but the calendar is significant. It is a cornerstone now for my family and everyone I share it with. just tell them a little bit about that journey, because it's not just a calendar. It is a journey to put one on the scoreboard for history. It's a journey for history, if anything else.
Yeah, without question, I think most of us want to know more about our history, more about our experiences. We want our children to know more. And so, Ben, you and your family represent one of the reasons why I wanted to do this calendar is that, I know that you can go to any local library. Well, back at the time when I started doing it, you couldn't go to any local library because if you went to a library, there was a very small section of books about us. And usually those books focused on some of the well-known people that we hear about over and over again. And I won't mention their names because I don't want to diminish their contributions and efforts to this country. Or it focused solely on slavery. Rarely would you hear about Blacks in opera, people like Leontine Price or Grace Bumpry or Philea Bashula, who at the age of 7, had written over 50 compositions.
Wow.
Had one of her compositions performed by the Metropolitan Opera. So you wouldn't hear about us in the arts like that. That's so right. It when I wrote it, it was a way for parents to be able to say, look, even though I don't have this knowledge, this research, and maybe I ain't got time to go get the books. So here is something that every day can take my child and take me
That's right.
through a journey of every aspect of America and show me the great beauty and contributions that we as a people have given to this country that is so absolutely dismissed in what we know as our education, be it public or private. So last night, so we're homeschooling our kids. We're homeschooling our kids first and foremost because of the pandemic. That was a decision my wife and we made 2 years ago when this thing started. We started homeschooling our kids. But we finally, after much research and quite honestly, Brother Mac, connecting with you and the sister that we had on the show, we finally found curriculum and a community that helps centralize our Blackness in our homeschooling. And they had a pop quiz. They had like a little game last night. And my babies won. They got, I think it was like second place, but to me, they won because they knew the history. The game was Black history. Mae Jameson, Bessie Coleman. You know what I mean? And my baby girl was just raising her hand. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, Black Sisters in Aviation. Speaking of that, my son and I had an essay to write last night. So I'm trying to get him in this different school and he needed to write an essay. And so the question, quite frankly, was that this school, their science department created a time machine. And if you could pick any point in time in history, where would you go and why? And so my son chose the 1960s and his thesis sentence was, I chose the 1960s because I actually wanted to see some of the great leaders during the civil rights movement. I also wanted to experience firsthand what it was like to be Black during that time. And then I wanted to meet people, young children my age, and see what they did for fun without the technology that I have today, meaning the cell phone, the computers, or an Oculus headset. And so in his journey, after he literally went back to August 28, 1963, to March on Washington. And there, he's talked about seeing King, seeing John Lewis, James Farmer. To hear my son list these names and know these organizations. And then he talked about driving from D.C. to Jackson and along the way stopped at a hotel because he was so tired, but the hotel said it's whites only. He finally pulled to a rest stop. He went to sleep at the rest stop. Folks saw him sleeping, called the cops. The cop wake him up, pull him out of his car. He said, look, I didn't do anything wrong. But next thing you know, he's getting beat down by the cops. And so in his conclusion, he said, look, I'm glad I didn't grow up in the 60s, but I'm so humble and grateful to those who paved the way to make life better for me today. It's a beautiful essay from my son because he knows, he's learning that experience as a Black man. And so I'm just humble. I'm full this morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Black joy. Liberation joy. There's something else, Brother Mac. I just want to chat a little bit because we're waiting on our first guest, Christian Smalls, and I really am looking forward to that conversation because that brother was literally targeted, and he'll share his story. But a young Black man who took it upon himself to challenge Amazon at the beginning of the pandemic on behalf of his team. Most people, if you Google Christian Small's name, you'll see some of those interviews he's done on, it's a pretty big story because of the nature of it. I'm excited about that conversation because to me, he's a young man. To you, I'm sure he's a young man, but the kids are going to be all right. I'm not trying to dismiss him as a kid, but he just represents the next generation to me. And listening to you talk about your son and me being excited about my kids and that, they came in second, okay, maybe third place. I don't, maybe they're going to watch this, but they won to me. The fact that my babies knew those names and they knew the history and they just weren't hitting the buttons on the phone fast enough, if you ask me why they didn't come in first. But it's just a testament to the fact that if we root our education in our history, something starts firing off in our kids' synapses that just connects the dots for them at an earlier age than some of us. Because quite honestly, I'm learning alongside with them on some of these stories, some of these characters.
And so, Ben, even when you talk about Brother Smalls, and I think you mentioned him before, and that now he's no longer with Amazon. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Amazon pushed that vendetta against him. But see, think about it. See, his name now goes into the pantheon of those great Black leaders who made that sacrifice. Now he can be alongside of Kurt Flood, who swung his back for free agency, even though he stood out there by himself. His name now goes along that of those of the Ali Summit, Jim Brown, Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was then Lou Alcindor. And remember, when Lou Alcindor was there at the Ali Summit, he was still at UCLA playing basketball. None of these guys were under contract, but they said, I am my brother's keeper. His name now goes along the side of those of Venus and Serena Williams, who challenged tennis to say that, no, women ought to be getting the same equal pay that men get in their tournaments. His name now goes beyond the size of a Colin Kaepernick, that maybe he sacrificed his career, but he did it for a greater good. His name now goes beside the name of a Brian Flores. And when his name now goes besides India Irie. Yes, they were one person, but they decided, I'm going to take a stance. I'm going to challenge this system. And it may have come at sacrifice to them, but that is what greatness is. Greatness is when you do something that you personally may not benefit from, but you are doing it so that others behind you will have an easier road to toe. And so to this brother Smalls, if we don't get a chance to talk to you this morning, my brother, I need you to know that as an older man, as an elder, I am humbled to understand what you have done for us as a people. God bless you, my brother. Yeah. And trust and believe, when you meet your day with the makers, when you walk up into that place where our ancestors are, they will smile and nod at you and say, my son, job well done.
Man, let's look here. That's the best introduction I've heard ever. I feel like that's that's like a Steve Harvey introduction. Put your hands together and show your love. Because to be honest with you, Brother Mac, I had not contextualized it or thought about it in that way, because it's hard to realize what you're doing as you're doing it.
That's right.
We'll talk with him. He'll tell his story a little bit more. But everything that you say, that's absolutely the truth.
But Ben, that is the power of history. These are the lessons that lie dormant in our history when we don't know them. This is what lies dormant, right? When we do not know them, like case in point, if you connect the dots between Toussaint L'Ouverture and Gabriel Prosser and Nat Turner, okay. What Toussaint L'Ouverture did in Hades was he defeated Napoleon. He ended slavery in Haiti through the Haitian Revolution, right? And the white folks in this country certainly didn't want that story told, because they didn't want Negroes, enslaved brothers and sisters in this country, to hear of what you could do if you simply stop bending your back and straighten it out. Now you look at the Toussaint L'Ouvertures and how his actions, his efforts gave strength and motivation to those like a Gabriel Prosser or a Nat Turner when they led their revolts. This is why we have to have history. So when I hear a story like Brother Smalls, I instantly go back inside of history and remember the people who were the catalysts, who finally stood up and said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. We ain't gonna deal with this no more. And if it comes to great perils to me, I'm willing to do it. So even when I was in Seattle, NAACP, and I got arrested for protesting the killing of an African-American man at the hands of what I call unlawful law enforcement, I worked for King County government. I was protesting King County law enforcement. I was protesting the hand that bit me. And people said, Carl, I don't understand why you would do that. And I said, it's because you don't understand history. And that's why history will never remember you. Because you're afraid. You're afraid of your history, and you're afraid to stand up for something that's much bigger than you. And so you, Brother Smalls, I pray, God, that you look back on this and you know that this morning, not only has this conversation with Brother Dixon filled my heart and what you are doing with your children, Ben, but what my son brought to me through that essay. And then you, Brother Smalls, the courage that you have shown through this, through all of this. I'm so proud of you. And I love you, black man. I love you.
Hey. It's the best damn place to be every morning. I don't know. There's not another place to go where you can experience this. This show has range, and it's an important range, a depth. I want to juxtapose a couple of other stories that we have coming up. In Like It or Not, we're going to be talking about the Black school board chair woman in Georgia who is under attack by Republicans. She is another soldier who is taken it upon herself to lead in the Department of Education, in the area of education in the state of Georgia. It's a story covered by my sister, Noah Changa, over at news1.com. We'll be speaking to Dr. Johnson coming up in Like It or Not. And of course, Georgia Ford, as much as Georgia is available, because she is literally, Brother Mac, she's literally out there on the scene right now in Minnesota. Yeah, it's going down over there because the people, despite the freezing temperatures, the people have come out in support of justice for Amir Locke. And Georgia Ford, if she's available this morning, she'll be filling us in on all the recent actions there. So I also want to salute Georgia this morning for what she's doing over there, keeping record of what's happening.
Always. And Ben, I don't know if you heard about this young sister, and I cannot recall her name, but I saw a story about her yesterday. Young sister was at a swim meet. And in light of what happened to, I think, Amir in Minnesota, the sister, she was a swimmer, and her mother is a white woman. So I don't know if she was adopted or what, but she was at this swim meet. And when she took off her covers and revealed her swimsuit had Black Lives Matter on it. After she finished the race, one of the organizers told her that she was disqualified. Either she's going to take that swimsuit off or she'll be disqualified. And she went to her mother and told her mother exactly what was happening. Her mother said, well, baby, what do you want to do? She said, Mama, I ain't taking it off. Her mother said, then you know that I stand in full support of you. And they disqualified our baby. So the mother went over there to raise sand about it to no avail. And her mother said to her daughter, before we leave, we're going to call the local NAACP. They called the local NAACP. The president said, I'll be down there in 15 minutes. They came down there. And this is of all the organizations, this is at a YMCA that this event happened. Right. Okay. And so now they sitting there arguing. And guess when the change happened, Ben? The change happened the same way it does with cockroaches. What happens when you walk in the room and you turn the light on? The cockroaches scatter. So once the media showed up, all of a sudden, the sister, the little baby child was no longer disqualified. But you know, when they had little sister on CNN and I'm listening to her interview, I was so proud of the fact that she took that stance. I was so very, very proud of her. And so you got to understand that this child will be able to relate to an India Irie. This child will relate to you got to believe somewhere along the line she was inspired by Colin Kaepernick. You got to believe that she may have been inspired by Brian Flores. You got to believe that when she goes and reads about Kurt Flood, she's going to see herself in there. You got to believe that when she looks at Harriet Tubman, she's going to know just part of that spirit is right there with her. When she hears the words of a Sojourner Truth, she's going to know that that is the legacy from which this young queen is formed. My heart is full today, Ben. It is absolutely full today.
Yeah, Brother Mac, Dr. Mac, I need you to write a matter of fact, Now, let's be real. This is why they should get the calendar, because you have a way and the ability to summarize someone's life. And it's not even eulogizing, right? It's like you could do it for somebody in history and you could do it for someone presently. And you summarize some of the contributions of these historic Black figures in the calendar, and you put it in a way of words where you kind of get a good grasp in less than 200, 300 words sometimes, or 500 words. You get a really firm grasp of this person's life. Don't do mine yet, because, do one for me, but I got a little more work to do. But I would love for you to do that for, I think anybody should have that done for them.
But Ben, let me say this. I don't want to believe that it's just that I have a way with words. The thing that I want people to understand is that when you get inside of our experience, just like when you watch any of these stories, just try to put yourself in the shoes of a Colin Kaepernick, where you know what's at stake. Try to put yourself in Brian Flores' shoes. Try to put yourself at that swim meet as that little 12-year-old Black girl, where these adults are coming to you, telling you either take, and the little sister had another swimsuit, but just try to put yourself in there and knowing that you finna make that decision right here, right now, and what's at stake.
That's right. Just try to put yourself in the. Try to also put yourself in the position of this young brother. We have him on the line, Brother Christian Smalls. I know he is organizing today as well. So, brother, thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
I can barely.
Good morning.
Dwayne Patcham to me, Brother Smalls, we've had a chance to talk about you a bit this morning, and I want to appreciate you for coming on. Before we get into what's happening right now, because there's action that's happening right now. There's organizing that's happening right now. But how did we get here? Could you tell the people a little bit about your journey and your leadership in this unionizing effort at Amazon?
Sure, absolutely. My journey started almost 2 years ago. Back in March of 2020, I held a walkout out of the same facility that we're unionizing, JFK in Staten Island, over the health and safety concerns when COVID-19 came into play in the beginning of the pandemic. Amazon failed to protect its workers. I felt the need to take further action. And when I did that, the company retaliated against me and they terminated me. When they did that, they pretty much motivated me to continue organizing up into the efforts when we saw the RWSU last year begin their campaign. We felt that this is time to start here in New York, and around April of last year, that's when we began our campaign here in Staten Island, a little over 9 months ago. So here we are today, getting ready to get into an election. To be determined, the date and regulations. Next week, we go to court with Amazon on February 16th.
Brother, and shout out to all the people who are organizing, because this is a massive effort. This attempting to unionize a company the size of Amazon, even if it's just your local warehouse, is a monumental effort because, well, you don't get to be the size of Amazon. Now, this is my commentary. Don't attribute it to anyone else on the screen, but you don't get to be the size of Amazon without doing a little bit of exploitation of labor and union busting. Now, I was speaking with Jordan Sheridan of Status Quo earlier this week, and a video leaked of those actual efforts where Amazon was trying to intimidate union organizers. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And where is that particular warehouse in proximity to the one that you're unionizing?
So, this is actually the video that we are referring to. This is actually the same warehouse. This is JFK Staten Island. This happened on Monday morning. Several of my organizers, because we organize from within and we have a really good stronghold within the building, we had the heads up before they even started the captive audiences. A worker reached out to me, sent me a message saying, hey, today they're going to be bringing them back, the captive audiences that they had in December. So I said, okay. We had a meeting with my organizers, and I said, you know what? Let's put together a plan to effectively go in as a collective and shut them down. And that's exactly what we did. We crashed one of the meetings in the morning as a group. We walked in. At first we hit some bumps. Workers were a little like taken off by surprise. But, we made sure that we gave the workers, we even gave the union busters a chance to explain the non-facts, and then we rebutted. And at the end of our rebuttal, the workers sided with us because it made sense.
That's right.
Anything fighting for more money, $30 an hour sounds like a plan to me. And the workers were believing us, and we were able to successfully shut down the captive audiences for that day.
Dr. Mack.
Brother Smalls, let me just simply say this. I am absolutely humbled by your strength, your tenacity. I'm just absolutely humble. And I just want to say on behalf of a grateful people, as a brotherhood in this group we call Black men, you stand as a king, young lion, and I'm just humbled by you. I'm proud of you. And just fight that good fight. Win, lose, or draw, brother, you have won in every shape, form, or fashion. I look at you as you didn't hear this part earlier, but I look at you in the same eyes that I look at some of the great iconic leaders of our day, the Frederick Douglasses. And you may not think, brother, I'm not a Frederick Douglass, but trust and believe. When you think about what it is you're doing, you are in that genre of the Frederick Douglasses, the A. Philip Randolphs, those who have led and paved the way, and sometimes at a great sacrifice. And I just want to say to you how proud we are of you, Black man. Thank you. And we love you, man.
That's right.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt.
Okay, Christian, I want to pivot just a little bit with the time that we have left. Could you tell the people how, because I know you're actually out there, and I'm not going to hold you. What do Black people need to know? What do progressives, people who stand with unions and organizing, what do we need to know in order to help in this moment? What can the average person do to help you all in this effort?
Yeah, the number one thing, we got to make sure that we're amplifying this. This is really underreported, what's going on in New York. And it's no shade to Alabama. We love Alabama. We stand in solidarity with Alabama. But what we got going on in New York is independent, it's worker-led. There's no national established union behind it. There's no resources behind us. This is really raised by grassroots campaigning. The workers are in the driver's seat. We have a GoFundMe that we're using to feed these workers that we do every day. We feed workers every day. We provide financial relief. We provide housing for workers that are unhoused. We've done a lot of great things in this campaign that I'm really, really proud of. So we're just asking anybody that can't come on the ground to organize that, whether a demonstration or come to the building and volunteering, to donate. Donate to our GoFundMe at AmazonLaborUnion.org. You can find it on our social media at Amazon Labor on Twitter, at Amazon Labor Union, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. That's myself as well. Follow me and please support us. This campaign to be one of the most historical campaigns in American history. We've done a lot of great things, and we're hoping to be successful and be the first union for Amazon in American history.
That's right. That's right. Brother Christian Smalls, thank you so much for your time, brother. We want to stay connected with you as you go on this journey. And again, yes, shout out to all the boys and the ladies and the Black women organizing down at Bessemer, Alabama, the Bamazonians. Shout out to them as well. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Hey, Ben, before you go, and Brother Smalls, I'm going to tell you what. When you talk about needing resources, given that Jeff Bezos gave $100 million to Van Jones, a Black man, hey, Van, if you can hear the sound of my voice, why don't you use some of that money to support the efforts of Brother Smalls and what these folks are getting? Because Lord knows that given that Bezos is worth $100+ billion, you would think that in this capitalistic society of what these brothers and sisters are fighting for fair and equitable wages, and because you being a former member of the Obama administration, you would think that you'd have some heart and soul about that. And if he gave you $100 million, I think you can use a little bit of that money in the direction, put a little bit of that money in the directions of Brother Smalls.
God only asked for 10%. So I think 10% is a good number because Black people organizing is probably one of the most important things that we could do in this morning. And thank you, Brother Mac, because that is definitely worth running over our break for. We're going to be back with On the Clock with Georgia Ford right after this.
I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call and quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all of this. You better move, you might get knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out.
Good morning, people. Y'all know the voice, y'all know the sound.
You might get knocked out.
It's your boy James Williams. DJ Exclusive is in the building. Good morning, everybody.
On my sleeve, stress, shit on my greed. That's how I get it. Success ain't no given. Some days I don't eat, I don't sleep. When I'm focused, I'm dangerous. They don't wonder when I'm anxious. Ain't no limit till I tank. I'm running on fumes. The opposition don't amaze. The roads racing through the pavement. Get your hands out of my bag. I know that's because I've been in it. I don't need to brag. I guess that's what happens when you taking care of your business. But some family, you do the math. I'm out of my pocket. Houston, we got a problem. I ain't perfect. Let them watch me elevating. Got them noxious. Cause I'm the pilot in the cockpit. Nose diving in the house. And woo. Watch out, get ahead. Watch out, get ahead. Watch out, get ahead. Watch out, set it up. Bet you I shut it down. Watch out, get a win. I don't think they really wanna come against the window. Got a finger on the pin on a grenade. I ain't never been
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good
morning, my man. Dad, I see y'all in the chat room. Good morning. That's the broken. Good morning to you. Hagen, Franco, what's going on? Laura Strada, Paula Hagen, good morning. On and on it goes. Good morning. Alicia, good morning, sister. Love you, meaning. Brother Latif, what's going on? Dan Boner, this is knocked out. Knocked out by knocked out. Snack Panther, what's going on, brother? Rachel Bannon, good morning. Brother Chuck Love, good morning. Indian Brown, what's going on? Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Let's fly away, just you and me. I need a little break from the city.
Miss Nuru, good morning. Sunny Wright, Afraid Not. Jerry P. Brother Chuck Diesel, Stoic, good morning. Mary C, good morning.
That summer feel, but I don't wanna go if you ain't with me. Let's make a home.
Amber Layla, good morning to you.
So tell me, baby, where would you like to go?
Frost Banana, anytime.
We'll drive from coast to coast.
Dog Dragon, good morning. Iris Jones, good morning to you.
I'm taking you to paradise, paradise. You know where we're going tonight, Paradise, paradise. I'm taking you to paradise.
So these are what I said, brother. I think I did just give you a new name, bro.
Give out the prize, yeah.
Unfortunately, y'all, I don't have the song person or the artist for this, but it's called Paradise.
Let's see the sun and have some fun.
Courtney,
I'm so tired of
Tiger, brother, what's up, Tiger?
And you
Courtney the SLP, brother Bryce, the big piece. See, for real, good morning.
So tell me, baby, where would you like to go?
Anytime, Franco, anytime. Corinne Ransom, good morning.
Don't need to where we are.
Should I say Chuck Love?
I'm taking you to paradise, paradise. You know where we're going tonight.
Good morning, Brenda.
Paradise, paradise. I'm taking you to paradise, paradise. I don't even care about the price, yeah. Paradise, paradise.
Melody Dennis, good morning.
Come and take a seat next to me, babe.
JP, I appreciate it.
Take your breath away, baby. We deserve a break.
Lily, good morning. Carter, I know I like this song too.
With me.
Marjorie, good morning.
Let this pretty view take your breath
Marjorie,
away.
yes, me too. Oh, this break, girl, let's do it done.
Cause I'm taking you to paradise, paradise. You know where we're going tonight, paradise, paradise. I'm taking you to paradise, paradise. I don't even care about the price,
All right, y'all, I think we're ready. Dwayne, are we ready?
Paradise.
Environmental Coffee House, good morning to
you. Paradise.
All right, here we go. Dwayne, are we ready, Dwayne? I got you. No worries, sir. Shout out to Dwayne, man, in the background. That's my dog.
I'm filling my soul up with devotion and stardust. I'm broke, got it all in control. Now I know what I want, like a natural woman. You know I'm not a girl anymore.
All right, y'all. The song just kind of hit me a little bit. I forgot what I was about to do, y'all, but y'all know what time it is. Our beautiful sister from another mister is here. Georgia Fort, it's time for On the Clock. Good morning, y'all.
I got a good guy.
Good morning. I am independent journalist Georgia Ford. As many of you know, I have been following the death of Amir Locke here in the city of Minneapolis. And what we've seen most recently is students standing up, using their voice as young people, demanding justice for Amir Locke. Yesterday at City Hall, dozens of students from North High School did a walkout, and they showed up at City Hall demanding a few things. Number one, that the officer who fatally shot Amir Locke be terminated from his position and charged criminally. Students also demanded that the interim police chief be terminated from her position as well, and that Mayor Frye resign. We heard some very powerful accounts from these students, some who have even experienced discrimination by police officers themselves or who have had a loved one. We heard students yesterday sharing their own concerns for little brothers or for their fathers who are going out into this community where we continuously see police killing Black men. It's something in Minneapolis that is a reality for Black residents and even our young people. I want you guys to take a listen from some of the comments we heard from folks yesterday.
There has been 3 deaths due to police brutality in Minnesota within the past 2 years. And this ain't something that's just natural. These things don't just happen. And the Black community should not just stop until there is justice. And I mean by any means necessary. This will not be pushed under the rug or looked over. Amir will have his justice. And me and my peers will make sure that. So at the end of the day, as a community, we need to come together and make our voice heard, because clearly they don't see us. Clearly we are not a priority in the community that we live in.
The same weekend, I lost a young man that I love, that I watched grow up. And so, you know, community violence is one thing, police violence, it all hurts our community. It's all bad. And we're committed to doing the work.
I was sharing, you know, that it's unfortunate that we've had so much activity in City Hall under these circumstances in terms of MPD killing another young Black man. For the past week and a half, we've had community leaders, mothers, like students say, why are we still in this predicament? And I just have to say, you know, as a council member, you're absolutely right. Leadership failed you. And that leadership is Mayor Frye. He has the sole authority over MPD. And for 2 years, we've seen promises be made that have went broken. We've seen lies be made to the public about reforms. And all of those things has led us to this moment. And it shows that there is so much pressure, and there is a responsibility, a necessary responsibility for leadership and the mayor to provide something different. And if not, it's clear the community is going to move forward with creating that different, either with them being here or not.
Now, the last two voices there were city councilors. The first voice we heard from was a student who was participating in that sit-in at City Hall yesterday. One thing I would like to point out, I found out from some of the city councilors that specific doors in City Hall were locked, doors to prevent students from entering closer to city council chambers or entering closer to where the mayor's office is located. And there was some disappointment by city councilors based on that decision that was made. They did not say who made that decision. I did ask them if they could find out if it was security that made that decision or if it was the mayor who made that decision, because I think it's important to note that preparations were made to prevent students from accessing a public building that they should have access to. They should be able to do a sit-in in front of the mayor's office and demand that he be held accountable, as we heard one of the city councilors mention there. But Ben and Brother Mac, this is a story that we have followed for the last week. And here we are 8 days following the fatal shooting of Amir Locke. There has been no movement from the mayor. There's been no movement from the interim police chief on whether or not this officer is going to be fired or charged criminally.
First of all, Sister Ford, again, I just, on behalf of a very grateful people, we are so grateful for your body of work and being on this story for as long as you've been on it and bringing it to us. One of the things that jumped out to me is when the sister, when they threw in there about Black on Black crime. See, that is nothing more than a deflection from you dealing with the issue of what is it that you are doing? What is it that you are doing? And Ben, that's why, that conversation you have about when you look at the data on crimes within communities. See, we shouldn't spend time talking about that. And I want these young people to just keep their eyes on the proverbial prize. And one of the, quickly, again, from history, the thing that just jumped out to me is that whenever we saw a lot of progress being made in this country, it was usually made by young folks. And this takes me back to Birmingham in 1963 during the Children's Crusade of what these children were able to do is to bring all of the efforts of Bull Connor and Birmingham to an end because these children got involved. And to the young people of Minneapolis, I am so very proud of you again on behalf of a grateful nation. You are following in the legacy of what we do. And this, again, is part of why they don't want you to understand your history. This is the whole debate against critical race theory. They want to call it critical race theory, but they do not want us to be empowered with that of our ancestors and knowing that we can make that change and challenge America as we are doing. And for them to not only say we want that officer, but we want the chief of police and we want the mayor. I love the critical thinking that our young people are doing. God bless them all.
Yeah. Yeah. And Sister Ford, absolutely echoing everything that Dr. Mack just said. The politics of it all jumps out to me and is screaming at me because of the gaslighting we are getting around the George Floyd bill, which is dead on arrival, right? We have not gotten any real traction. There's been a lot of press conferences, a lot of symbolism. They painted streets with Black Lives Matter. They put it on helmets, but we haven't gotten policy yet. And what irks me in this story so much more is that now that they're talking about banning the no-knock warrants, didn't we have that conversation already? And why is it now that that was not followed when we had that? Or maybe I'm mistaken, but I just feel like this was a tragedy that did not have to happen if people had just done something after George Floyd was killed.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think it's important to distinguish when you say people had done something. I mean, Ben, absolutely. And what's also true is people did do something. There were so many community leaders. It was very fascinating and inspiring to see people activated in our community, people organizing, door knocking, getting signatures on bills like one specifically to ban no-knock warrants. Communities United Against Police Brutality, Jonathan McClellan with his organization, Zainab Muhammad, and so many others who did the legwork of drafting bills and getting signatures to support them. I was there when they delivered multiple boxes full of signatures to the governor's office. The governor would not meet with them. One of his aides sat there and spoke with them for probably about 20 to 30 minutes, but they delivered all of those signatures in support of, I believe it was 8 bills that would transform policing across the state of Minnesota. And when I talked to Michelle Gross about those bills, one of the things she says specifically about the no-knock warrant bill that was presented, she says that bill was watered down. She says, the bills that did pass, they got changed once they made it to lawmakers, and they got changed in a way where they could not be effective. And so here we are being reactionary again, instead of being proactive, right? Think about that. Had that bill have been passed in the way that constituents said that they wanted it, Amir Locke would still be here.
That's right.
Had lawmakers, had politicians who are in positions of power actually listen to the people, we would not be here, where you see thousands of young people, students who are leaving their classroom and they are pounding the pavement. They're saying no to their education today and saying yes to justice, yes to reform, yes to My Life Matters. Thousands. Yeah. And not just Black students. These are Indigenous and white and Asian students who walked out earlier this week and walked from Central High School to the governor's mansion, again, demanding that on a state level, not just on a city level in the city of Minneapolis, but across the state of Minnesota, that he do something to help protect their lives. But the only thing that we've heard from the governor at this point is that he has authorized the use of the military. He has authorized the National Guard in the state of Minnesota. And in his statement to the press, he didn't even mention Amir Locke's name. He said 2 days after Amir Locke was fatally shot by police that he was activating the authorization of military, or the National Guard rather, in light of the ongoing federal trial that's happening for the other 3 officers who are charged with violating George Floyd's civil rights. And so I think, these small nuances, the small thing of not even mentioning Amir Locke's name, I feel is dismissive of the larger systemic issue that's not just happening in the city of Minneapolis, but that we know is happening all across America.
That's right.
And Georgia, I want to be sure, because that we say, when you say they're being reactionary, clearly what you just laid out is the beauty of where we are evolving to in this change, in that after George Floyd, it's not that we relaxed and said, okay, we're about to get justice. After the trial of Chauvin, it's not that we relaxed and said, okay, things are going to get better. Right. But what you were describing is that this community still had the foresight to see the obstacles and the tools that would be in the way that would lead to another situation like this, and they proactively did it. So when we're saying reactionary, I think what you're saying, and help me if I'm wrong here, you're saying that the lawmakers, powers that be, are being reactionary.
That's right.
And this is what I love about what we are now learning from history, is that once, and Georgia, I've heard you say this many, many times before, whenever we make progress, they amp up their efforts to be more suppressive. And normally they're successful in that because we let our foot off of the gas, off the pedal of making America a more perfect society. But yet the young folks in Minnesota and Minneapolis, they saw these things going. And even though they saw the progress, they still saw the other obstacles and kept that going. So for them to organize and take to the governor's office and take to these lawmakers solutions for these other issues that would continue to lead to this, and then they do nothing but water it down. I am so grateful for what they are doing of keeping pressure going. God bless them. God bless them. And shame on the governor. Shame on the on the really the state of Minnesota, because when you take a look at it, the same way we were talking about the death of our brother who was incarcerated in the Department of
Sherrill.
Brother Sherrill, correct. Mm-hmm. So all of these folks in power are just a sham. Now you want to call a set of lawmaking individuals a swamp. Clearly, that's what we are seeing, and I'm so grateful to you, Georgia, to see that footage of you on the streets with these young brothers and sisters, organizing, not just being out there being chaotic, but being strategic in what they are doing. That is so incredibly powerful, and keep the hammer down on the mayor, on the chief of police, and on the governor, and make sure that when it's election time, no need to deal with the status quo. Let your voice be heard again. That's right. And again.
See, they think we got short memories. I think that's one thing that they're counting on. And this is why the coverage is important, because this footage, this is coming from your team, Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. Like, this is literally you out there with your crew capturing this footage, and save for your efforts and the efforts of Black Press, the company, we wouldn't be seeing what we're seeing right here.
That's right. That's right. And, I unfortunately can compare and contrast the coverage as independent journalist that I'm doing with mainstream media. And, I'm reminded in this moment more than ever why there's a need to change the narrative. I think that at times when our community is doing well, sometimes it feels like maybe there's not this need. But in times of crisis, when you have mainstream media that is publishing photographs of Amir's gun without the context that he is a licensed gun carrier, misleading the public to believe that he is a criminal, and we are reminded that there is a tremendous need to change the narrative. And I'm accused oftentimes by people, right-wing people, Republicans, even just white people maybe who don't like Black people, right? That changing the narrative is changing the truth, and that's not what it is at all. That's right. But when the media is comfortable with claiming to be balanced, yet they continuously put out narratives that only reflect a police narrative and not center a family who is grieving, then we get these partial narratives that contribute to the polarization of our society, and too often criminalize people who look like me and you. And so I do hope that we arrive at a place in this society, in our country, in this nation, where we don't have to change the narrative anymore. But Brother Mac, as you talk about the historical context and the parallels that we can point to of what we're currently going through, and I can't help but relate it to the civil rights era. And, and you can put photographs side by side of the sea of people who are coming out and demanding change, right? But back then, during the civil rights era, when you think about policy shift, specifically surrounding desegregation, it took years before Thurgood Marshall had a victory on Brown versus the Board of Education. And even after the policy changed, even after segregation was outlawed, it still took years for integration. And so it's not just about a policy shift. You can change the laws tomorrow, but it doesn't mean that police are going to stop killing Black people tomorrow. Because what is also going to have to happen in this country is a culture shift, a mind shift, and a heart shift. And we know that historically, because you can look at the policy that changed surrounding segregation. segregation was outlawed, but integration didn't happen until years later. And so many people, including myself, we were hoping that true change was going to happen after the horrific murder of George Floyd. But here we are, less than 2 years later, and everybody I know, at least in the city of Minneapolis, regardless of where they stand on this issue, is asking themselves, what has truly changed? Has anything changed?
And Georgia, I want you to keep this. This is just to you, sister. I need you to know that when they view you as, quote, an agitator, it's because they are threatened by this truth that you are bringing, and you take their description of you as a badge of honor. Because as Frederick Douglass says, that any man who professes the faith of freedom but detests agitation is a man who wants crops without plowing the field. He wants rain without thunder and lightning. He wants the ocean without its awful roar. Sister, continue to roar. Now, as you talk about Thurgood Marshall, in 1954, winning Brown versus Board of Education, and it being years later. It was 1965 before my mother, my aunt, and my two aunts and my brother and my first cousins were able to integrate schools in Jackson, Mississippi, even though the highest court in the land ruled that. And the reason why is because when the Supreme Court ruled in favor of ruled against segregation in Brown versus Board of Education, Southern Republicans, Southern lawmakers got together and made a document called the Southern Manifesto. And for anybody listening, just go up and research the Southern Manifesto, because what these lawmakers did was that they put together a plan and sent it out to all the Southern states that said, at all costs, you delay integration. I don't care what it takes. Do not allow it to happen. So here's the, to your point, Georgia, here's the law of the land in 1954 saying that segregation is now unconstitutional. It is illegal. But these white folks put together this Southern Manifesto and they kept it. So it was 11 years later that we finally seen public schools in Jackson, Mississippi, I know for a fact, integrated. But to all of that, sister, know that when they're talking about you, you wear it as a badge of honor, because they see you as a threat of bringing that truth. And that is why we stand in awe of you.
Thank you.
That's right.
I appreciate that. I truly do.
We got a lot more coming up. Georgia, thank you so much for all the coverage that you're doing, everything that you're doing. We'll be back with more on the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show.
All right, y'all. Make sure that y'all stay tuned. We got more coming up next on the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show, y'all. Like it or not, starting next.
What you gonna do when the rain is coming down? Nothing more to do when there's no one else around. Bring it back to the middle, push, take it back to the rhythm. Keep it up for good when the sky's falling down. All you gotta do is to bring it to the ground. Hit it up to your inner move. Stop, start, down. Nobody can get what you're going through. Nobody can get what you've done. Nobody can get what you're going through.
Y'all make sure you stay tuned.
What you gonna do with it? What you gonna do with it? Gotta get it done. What you gonna do with it? What you gonna do with it? What you gonna do with it? Gotta get it done. Matter of the thing, I'm never falling down. Shovel up the dirt, I'm taking shit from them. Bring it back to the middle, push, take it back to the rhythm. Ringing up the bell for the falling of the sun. Shifting, getting
Roller Dragon, good morning. East Smith, second away, Miss Nuru. Randy Rubble, good morning.
Nobody can get what you're going through. Nobody can get what you're
Angela Newman, good morning.
Nobody can get what you're
Real quick, we are going to get to our new Twitch subscribers. Nicole Howe, good morning. K-Pop Girl, good morning. She subscribed. Industrial Arts resubscribed and commented. I stay subscribed for the joy and the tears. What's going on, brother Industrial Arts? The Chicken Fried Dragon gifted a subscription to Neptune Boniqua and Braided Dave. Old School Hype resubscribed. MX Slytherin, Mixed Slytherin resubscribed and commented. Happy to support. This Cute Cat resubscribed and commented. Resubby. They've been subscribed for 17 months. That's dope. Virgil Cut resubscribed to been subscribed for 2 months. And Industrial Arts gave out 5 community subscriptions. That's my dog. Shout out to everybody, man, that's joined. Patreon.com/LikeItOrNot. Patreon.com/The BPD Show. And don't forget tomorrow, Patron Party. All black everything. Y'all make sure that you are in the building, man. If you're not, Patreon.com/LikeItOrNot. Don't want to miss it.
I think I let my guard down. Certain things ain't the same now. Hard to navigate these problems. I'm by myself, you're not around.
Rebecca in the waiting room.
I tried to open up, it wasn't good enough. Put in my all and got nothing back. Now I'm stuck in the rain, dealing with all this pain. Why you gotta do me like
thank you, Jen Burner. I'm Jen Boner all the time.
Trust and believe me. Saying to myself, looks so deceiving. Trying to fight back, just far from me. I've seen your hands. Delilah, don't you know I've seen your hands. Delilah, don't you know heart turned cold, lost control. Looking at this beautiful distraction. Fell in love with a fatal attraction. I really let my guard down, now relaxing. Why did I open up? She taking way too much. Put in my all and got nothing back. I'm feeling so ashamed, I fell into your game. Why you gotta do me like that? Don't say you love me, then go and leave me. It can't get ugly, trust and believe me.
It looks like we have found the independent Lil Nas X.
Trying to fight back, just far from easy. I've seen your hands. Delilah, don't you know I've seen your hands. Delilah, don't you know gave you all of me, had me so deceived. You chose to leave my life, so I'm on my own in a cycle.
Peter Griffin, that is a good question. I would love to have Gary Chambers on. Actually, yeah, the new commercial is dope. It's really dope. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. We got more coming up next, man. Like it or not, it's starting up in a minute. So make sure y'all stay tuned. Before we get started, my husband said, you need to do more chores around the house. Me. Can we change the subject? My wife. Okay. More choices around the house need to be done by you. You see I just changed the subject like that?
Bad little flex, she wanna know me. I stay low key, all gas, no brakes. Baby, let them hoes sleep. Body on 10, make your girl OD. I get my way, never out of my lane. Feel like you the one in the morning.
Marsha, good morning to you. Mary C, Buster be good. What's going on? One ATL Country Boy, what's up, bro?
Baby, won't you keep me company? Give me something to do when I get lonely. I got something for you when we get home. If you let me put it down. When I hit the town, you should slide on me. Keep your minds on me. On try, baby, I think you should slide with me. Stay solid one time if you lie with me. Just promise you never lie to me. Keep the moves on tuck. I know it's all love. Everything good. Keep the vibes on crush. I know it's all good. Know it's all love.
Okay, I hear y'all. Live playlist, I got y'all.
I've been feeling like the man lately. Can't nobody do it like I can daily. Baddest in the lattice in the land. Body turn your nigga to a fan, up fan. I made it where I'm at on my own. Had a couple blocks in the road, but I get to the bag on the loan. I pick down the stacks while they grow, yeah, you know me. Baby, won't you keep me
Jago, good morning to you.
Give me something to do when I get lonely. I got something for you when we get home. If you let me put it
good morning.
down. When I come in town, you should slide on me. Keep your minds on me. On try, baby, I think you should side with me. Stay solid one time if you lie with me. Just promise you never lie to me. Keep the moves
Miss Sophia, good morning.
Everything good, keep the vibes on crush. I know it's it's all good, good. No, it's all love. No, it's all love.
All right, y'all. Y'all welcome back to the screen. My brother from another mother, Benjamin Dixon, y'all.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. It is again Thursday. I think it's Thursday. I can lose track of days at this point. DJ Exclusive is in the house. Dr. Carl Mack is in the house. Good morning, gentlemen. Good to be back with you. How are you this morning?
Good morning. Good morning.
Gang and brother DJ, good morning to you. Good seeing you.
Good morning, Dr. Mack. How you doing?
I'm cool in the game, my brother. Cool in the game.
Good.
I want to jump directly to our interview, our next guest. I was introduced to this story by my sister, Anoa Changa, who's been on a show regularly. She writes for News One. Dr. Tarece Johnson. She is a Georgia School Board chair and the first Black woman chair. And she is being targeted by conservatives over several things. We'll get to that. But first and foremost, I just want to welcome you, Dr. Johnson, to the morning show. Thank you so much for joining us. My pleasure. Could you tell us a little bit, generally speaking, about why it is that you would be attacked? And we can get into all the nuances. We'll give the backstory and let people understand. But I want to come in at a high level first, because sometimes we see these school board fights on the national stage, or we see something on the school board level, and we don't really add it up into the bigger picture. But I find it interesting that a lot of the attacks that we see from conservatives around this country are actually happening at the school board level. Could you just tell us why it would be that you would be a target in your position as Georgia School Board's first Black woman chair?
Sure.
The Georgia County.
Sure. Well, first of all, we all know that this is happening across the country. All of our school board, or most of our school boards, in particular the school boards in, very diverse communities, are under attack. And we started with the mask mandates, then it moved over to CRT. And as the nation started to change and the demographics started to really represent the communities, the school boards changed. And so a lot of the hate is really coming from misinformation related to critical, race theory. It also related to people just really upset. They're upset with the change of demographics. They're upset with the change of power dynamics. And so it's just this time that, unfortunately, we're seeing, history repeat itself. We're coming off of the heels of, a very interesting time with the, former President Trump. And we saw an uptick in hate crimes in every area, and from in the Jewish community, Black community, Asian community. We saw hate just rise up, and it was emboldened under the former President Trump. And so now we're kind of, coming off of this, January 6th insurrection, where we saw again this declaration of we're taking our nation back. And so people are still fighting for taking America back, as what they're proclaiming, right? And this is the fight at the school board level, where they're saying, we all know that education is powerful. And this is really the foundation of our nation, is when we provide balanced education for our children, that we can change our nation, we can change the trajectory of the world. And so when you then look at the education system, then you say, well, what can we do to now change how our children think, so that we can use it in a way for indoctrination or for power control. And so, we see in many diverse communities, in many diverse school districts, where ethnic courses are springing up where, teachers are now, teaching education in a way that really spurs critical thinking skills. And it's based on various perspectives, and they're introducing books, and they're, talking about race in a way that connects with the child's experience. And we have current events that has happened from, the George Floyd to, so many other anti-Asian hate that has, increased in our nation. Kids are bringing this into the classroom, and they want to have discussion and conversation. And teachers are trying to, as best as they can, responsibly, with care, have these conversations. But most importantly, building the critical thinking skills of our students is so important. Looking at different perspectives, and then also teaching them the power of empathy and the power of not just one story, but multiple stories. And so what we have in the education system is people who are saying, let's target the school boards. Let's target them, and let's suppress this freedom of education. Let's take away, as a liberator for me, I know that education has so much power. And if we think about how do we liberate our students, how do we create a world where people have free thought, and a world that actually challenges status quo, but in a way that ensures progression of all people, it's education.
That's it. That's why.
And this is the target.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. And that's exactly that. Yeah. No, that's the dovetail right there, the critical nature of the role. I appreciate you contextualizing it, because I need people to understand now the game that's being played against you. I want to read directly from the work Anoa Changa wrote over at News One, and this is how she framed it. She said, Black school board members and education professionals across the country are under attack for their commitment to equity and justice. Approximately 2 weeks after one of Georgia's most diverse school districts elected its first Black woman chair, Tarece Johnson, finds herself under attack by conservatives for her commitment to equity and justice. Senator Burt Jones, who is a Republican candidate for lieutenant governor of Georgia, has called for an investigation into Johnson's implemented policies and decisions based on her public-facing comments and teachings about systemic racism. So the attack that's coming towards you is a very political one. He's running for office, and Burt Jones understands that the number one thing conservatives want to get their teeth into right now, they want to sink their teeth into, is some big, bad, scary Black woman who's trying to get critical race theory going in Georgia.
So Dr. Johnson, first of all, let me say thank you so much. And there were some things that you said that I want to address. So first of all, you said history has a way of repeating itself, and it's not lost on me that you got your Billie Holiday look going right now, historically speaking. Okay. Second of all, what you're facing as an educator reminds me of a sister named Ruby Forsythe, who was born in 1805 in Charleston, South Carolina. She had a one-room schoolhouse, and her whole purpose was to educate our children. And she was faced with constant harassment. They were burning her school down. I'm talking the Ku Klux Klan, except today they look more like maybe conservative politicians. But in the face of all of that, she never stopped. And so in the sense of history repeating herself, I am looking at you not only as our beautiful Billie Holiday, but I'm also looking at you with the spirit of one Ruby Forsythe. Now for the strategy. Being that you are in Georgia, I want you to say, because Georgia always wants to embrace, even the conservative Republicans, they want to embrace their favorite son, and that being Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And they always want to go and quote King talking about, let's not judge on the color of our skin, but conscience and the character. I want you to look this quote up, Dr. Johnson. When their favorite son, our hero, our king, was at Morehouse, he issued this quote. He said, the purpose of education is to save man from the morass of propaganda.
That's it.
I want you to look that quote up and remember that Dr. King said that, and I want you to push that on them, that the purpose of education is to save man from the morass of propaganda. So you'll look up the word morass and you'll understand what propaganda is. And that is exactly what they're trying to do. So let them chew on that and swallow that. So instead of us being on the defense all the time, I want you to use that as part of your offensive arsenal. And we just want to encourage you in the spirit of sisters like Ruby Forsythe to continue that great fight. So even in the face of Klan and all of those things, they kept going. So you're on the right path. And we just want to say thank you for the work that you're doing, but continue that fight.
Thank you so much. You know, propaganda is powerful. I am a Black Jewish woman, and we all know you know, the hate against Black people was all rooted in this propaganda that Black people and brown people are subpar human, or they are, you know, not as intellectual as, you know, white people. And there's all this propaganda around Black people don't feel pain. And then still to this day, it impacts us in our, you know, medical, in the medical industry, right? Healthcare system where, you know, this ideology is sort of still kind of rooted in how people receive care, right? Yeah. And so, so propaganda impacted Black lives then, and still today we're suffering, right? And when we think about our Jewish community, and as a Black Jewish woman, I always see the parallels, but I also understand that they're very distinct stories, right? But propaganda is what started the hate against, you know, the European Jews in Germany. It was really, you know, letters that went out and caricatures that just went out, just saying that the Jewish people are this way, and people started to believe it. People started to believe the lies, and so propaganda is powerful in good and bad ways, right? You know, if we use media to really share the power of unity and share about the power of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how important it is for us to embrace one another and be okay with difference, be okay with not always agreeing on things and seeing and sharing the same values and ideologies. That's okay, but understanding how to respect one another. Let's use media in that way. Let's, you know, create, movies and cartoons and images and commercials, and let's have propaganda that's rooted in that. So let's reimagine it. Let's reimagine what propaganda could look like, you know. But we see in history, when history is repeating itself, we see that propaganda started it all. Even the hate towards me, you know, even the attacks against my TikTok videos. I'm an artist, I'm an actress, I'm a dancer. I love poetry, I recite my art. I love painting. My house is like an art gallery. Like, I really embrace the arts. And people now have this propaganda about who I am, and it's demonizing me as if I am not a human being. I am an intellectual. I have, you know, multiple degrees. I have a doctorate degree in education. I owned a school previously that really focused on multicultural, multilingual education. I wrote a book called The Global Purpose Approach. I am an author, artist, activist, advocate. I am doing the best I can for our children and for all of humanity. I'm also unapologetic about being a Black Lives Matter supporter. I believe that where there is injustice, we must correct it. And that's how we show love. We show love through justice. I love to love. And so for me, when I think about who you are trying to make me to be with your hateful propaganda, here's what I can say. What I can say is I am, I carry the spirit of Maya Angelou. I carry the spirit of Harriet Tubman. I carry the spirit of all of these amazing people who fought for justice and who had courageously endured so much hate, but they kept pressing forward. They kept going. And so no matter what they say about me or who they try to define me to be, I know who I am. And I want our children to understand the power in knowing who they are. And I know when you're young, you kind of go through the process of figuring your life out and figuring out, your own identity. As you explore that, I want our children to know that there are adults out here, there are educators out here, you have people on school boards, you have teachers in the classroom, you have counselors, you have principals, you have people in the school system and in the community who see you. And our children need to know that regardless of whatever laws that are coming out around this censorship and around, they're not using the word gay or, lesbian,
right.
bisexual, transgender in the classroom. Like it is so important for us to be unapologetic about saying that we need to see each and every child, and we need to ensure that they belong, that they don't just feel like they belong, but they know that they belong. And how do we do that? We do that by sharing their stories. We do that by celebrating their heritage. We do that by recognizing their history. We do that by saying, I see you. I know where you come from. I see you today and who you are. Let me help you. Let me guide you, but let me love you. And then let's build a better future. And the way we build a better future is we have to have those hard conversations. We see in the classrooms all across America hate. We see kids shooting up classrooms. That's value. We need to teach empathy. We need to teach the value of empathy.
That's right.
Empathy is really, it will handle so much of the issues that we're dealing with around even racial issues in our school. We have kids.
Sister, I would say this.
Race and hate.
Question. Yeah, I would say this, sister. It is without question that we feel your spirit. But all I would say to you is, right now, you're talking about a fight over the pen. And if there's one fight that white superiority will dig deep into, it is the power of that pen. And so I just want to caution you of this. Reason and stupid cannot have a conversation. Clearly, you're on the side of reason. And you need to understand that you're fighting against stupid. So there's going to be a fight that is going to, it's going to be a hard fight. You need to armor up. And just do not quit under any circumstances, because trust and believe, this idea of us teaching our children, and I'm not going to water it down. And like I said, that's why I love what King said. The word morass means a complex situation. And you clearly define what propaganda is. But because they love to lean on Dr. King, tell them that if King were alive today, this is what he would have said about your fighting against the teachings of all history. The purpose of education is to save a man from the morass of propaganda. That is exactly what they're doing. So you are certainly in a fight. Know that you built for this fight, armor up, and just always understand that, as a reasonable woman, you're sitting across the table from stupid. It's going to be a tough conversation.
That's the part. Dr. Tarece Johnson, listen, we've got your back here. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and thank you for your fight. Could you just tell everyone how they can support you? Where should they go to find out more about your fight?
Sure. You can go to Facebook. I have, you can just search Dr. Tarece Johnson. You'll see my pages will come up, my political page and my artist page. You can follow me there. I'm also on Instagram. I'm on TikTok, Dr. Tarece, and I share a lot of my poetry. I share my art, and I have fun. I show my humanity, and I want everyone to be comfortable with being able to see the humanity in people, even in leaders in our local and county and federal government. So, and the support that we need is we need to unite as a community and to continue to put pressure on our legislators to vote no against these bills that are trying to censor education in the classroom. And
Dr. Tarece, we have to hold it.
Yes.
We have to hold it there. We have to get to a quick break. Thank you so much. We need to have you back as soon as possible. When we come back, Rebecca Zors joining us, like it or not, is getting ready to go down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It feel like you do when you look in my pendant. Hopeless romantic, my girl, chin up for the kid. I'm not on no simps. Won't stop till the youngest he dreams. Wanna take him from rags to riches. I heard that you claim that you know me, but you ain't the homie. The fuck is your friendship? I need the loyalty, back up the royalty. I give a fuck if you notice me. Ain't nobody holding me. Big wave at your shoreline, so they know it's me. Big boy from the coast.
Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned,
with a
man.
new
We got
pen
more
going
coming
ISO.
up.
Tell him don't reach. Ice cold with no fleece. I'ma need safety. Tell her I can't snake me. Ray gun off safety. My girl so tasty. Tell her it's your world. She want the two-tone spaceship. Blow smoke screen daily, so the stress don't face me. I'm going, hey, look, I'm going, yeah, I'm going, crazy, wave, yeah, crazy, yeah, look, I'm going, crazy, wave, hey, look, going, yeah, I'm going, crazy, wave, yeah, crazy, yeah, look, I'm going, crazy, wave.
I gotta hit the beat. 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 I gotta. I gotta. Pop that bottle, it's over. It's the end of October. Champagne on the shoulder. This is my exposure. Pop that bottle, it's over. It's the end of October. Champagne on the shoulder. This is my exposure. Pop that all night long, but the feeling keeps kicking in. Beef with all the girls. Bullshit dripping off the chin. Pop that all night long, but the feeling keeps kicking in. Beef with all the girls. Bullshit dripping off the chin. I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat.
You drop this. Yeah. Like they're bringing anything to the table. Bro, I'm not your son, see I'm able. I do my own bits. Limited edition of some missing classic shit. I know that you're feeling it. Feel mad, cold nights feel heavy. Same place going in the heart of the city. Nitty gritty feels iffy and the eyes feel shifty. The shit we're in, yo, it's all mad risky.
Pop that all night long, but the feeling keeps kicking in. Beef with all the girls. Bullshit dripping off the chin. Pop that all night long, but the feeling keeps kicking in.
Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, man. We got more coming up next on the
Bullshit
Benjamin Dixon Morning
dripping
Show.
off
Like
the
it or
chin.
not. Make sure that you have your face in the place tomorrow. Picture party is going down tomorrow night. All black everything. Make sure that you are ready.
I gotta hit the beat.
All right, y'all. Y'all welcome back to the screen. My brother from another mother, and my sister from another mister, and my other brother from another mother.
I gotta hit
Ben, Rebecca, and Dr. Matt, y'all. Good morning, everybody.
Like it or not, with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
It just doesn't feel right, does it? It doesn't.
I got an attitude, but we're going to talk after. Don't worry. Good morning, Rebecca. How you doing?
What doesn't feel right? But yes, good morning, Bubba. How are you, sweetheart?
It kind of doesn't feel right coming into the show without the song. I'm going to be honest with you. It just feels weird. Can we? We got a guest.
We can't. We don't have time. So
I know.
yeah,
Bubba said that I wasn't going to play it. I said I ain't going to play it because this is the reason.
Oh, you protesting? You protesting on your own show?
I ain't protesting.
He organizing on his own.
Look at me. I'm trying to figure out what's going on because I was at the door since 8:57.
You weren't. The camera.
Like I said, we'll talk after because we is on the air right now. We got a whole show to do and a whole.
Whether you like it or not, where we are free to tell the truth.
And not care who doesn't like it. Good morning, everybody. It is February 10th, 2022. Y'all ain't gonna see me tomorrow, so I have to say that early on because I know it might go to the next show. Yeah, I have a trip. I already told you.
Okay.
I have to go, but I know that you guys
my
are gonna
memory
have
ain't about
all
nothing.
black. I know that you guys are gonna have an. I'm sorry. I apologize, Bubba, and I know that we got together. I like. So I like the way you guys popped in Dr. Carl Mack just like that. So I didn't
like
know
the Matrix.
Yeah, I know you guys can do that because I know I'd be at the door and it'd be like I can't really get to me.
Shady.
But it's very nice to see you, Dr. Carl Mack. Thank you for joining us today.
You throwing shots.
Queen, I miss you.
See the difference? The difference is Dr. Mack already been here. He was already here.
Yeah.
So it's easier to pop somebody in that's already there. And then somebody that's late and in the waiting room. But
for those people who are wondering,
8:57 isn't late though. 8:57 isn't late. But
for those people who are wondering what is going on,
it's good to have you here this morning, Dr. Carl Mack. But I was going to say tomorrow, I know you guys are going to have the all black patron party, and I would have loved to have been there. So I think I want to pre-record something for you guys to play maybe tomorrow.
That's nice.
I'll think about it. Though.
That'd be nice. I think the people would really love to hear that.
And even if you're going on a trip, I mean, it's a Zoom call. I'm going to tell you, like I tell my employees, it's a Zoom meeting. You can pop in anywhere, It's not like got any restrictions. It's a portable cell phone.
Yeah.
So, you can just pop in anywhere. Never mind. I know why. I know why she don't want to pop. But, girl, you can go in the bathroom or downstairs in the lobby or somewhere else around, the African king or whatever. Start playing Rebecca.
Her African angel. African angel. Oh, I don't know. No. Let me pull myself because I haven't had any updates lately, Rebecca. I ain't get myself in trouble. I don't know nothing about none of your business.
That's a white man.
I had to correct myself. Times change. We're not at the beginning of the pandemic no more. For people who don't know what's going on, this is family. And one of our guests, we're going to do a hard pivot here because I want to bring someone to the screen that I owe a debt of gratitude to, Pastor Hodges. I shared a thread that I saw him do on Twitter that was so rich in Black culture that I shared it on Facebook. And I'm thinking like every minute I'm getting about 25 to 50 people answering the questions that this brother posed as it pertains to Black history and Black culture. Good morning, Pastor Hodges. Thank you for joining us. We can hear you loudly and clearly. And welcome to the morning show. Are you doing good this morning?
Man, I can't complain. I'm grateful and thankful that you guys had me on this morning. Now, have some good laughs.
Yep, we do that.
It only gets worse, Pastor. It only gets worse.
Terrible.
And
but
some of our laughs, some of our laughs are a little edgy. So we're going to pray. We're going to get you out of here.
You haven't been on my Twitter thread long, then.
Pastor, I think what we all saying is on a show like this, every now and again, we need little baby Jesus to come in here and break it.
At the same time, Jesus is working on us, and on us. It's just Jesus is he working on me, so he knows my heart, Pastor Hodges. I know that you know that, so
pray for us. Not my mama, not my brother, but it's me, oh Lord, and Rebecca standing in the prayer. That's it. Listen, let's get right to it. Dwayne, because I haven't shown anybody on the team these unless they follow on Twitter or they saw it on Facebook. I want people to put answers in the chat room, and I want us to volunteer. If you know the answer to the questions that's getting ready to come on your screen, I'd like somebody, Brother Mac, Rebecca, DJ Exclusive. I want you guys to answer it as well as the people in the audience. Let's get right down to work. Dwayne, put the first image on the screen. Black history question. What kind of cars do these sisters drive? I didn't want to start
Pink
here.
Cadillac
they don't all drive the same car.
Pink Cadillac, though, because one of them have did the most when they worked at Mary Kay with Mary Kay. So one of them drive a pink Cadillac. Okay, the Mary Kay edition.
That's the right answer, Pastor Hodges.
The right answer is any order of Cadillacs, Lincolns, Buicks, Grand Marquis. in that order. All those answers are acceptable. I was told, though, the woman on the far left drives a tan Mercedes.
Oh, somebody found the real woman and said,
somebody was like, wrong, she drive a Mercedes Benz.
Mercedes. Okay. Got to put some respect on her name. I dig it. Bring up the next one.
They all tried to outdo each other with the furs.
And with the hats. Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
My mother would love this. 65 degrees that day.
But it's the one in the middle that says she has to have the interchangeable, like the ones that go to the shades when they go outside. Yeah, so she won because she got the nice little slim glasses that go into that go into like shades when you step outside.
Oh my goodness! And they all make good potato salad.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
They put their foot in the potato salad, and nobody can come into the kitchen when they cooking.
Ain't no raisins in those potato salads. Ain't no raisin, not a nary raisin in those. Let's go to the next image, Dwayne. Let's ask the next one. Black history question. What is this black man asking? Drop the lower third for them so they can see what's in his hands. What is this black man asking?
He's asking how many you got.
What you got?
How many books you got?
An alternative one is I know you didn't just cover cut me.
Oh, it is. Yeah, this is some shape of reneging here. We definitely reneged on something here.
Yes.
Somebody cut a queen, so he's upset. He asked, "Do you know how to play spades?"
Nephew, no, nephew, you got the right call, nephew.
No, I didn't just cut me. Pastor, I wouldn't know if he's questioning reneging right now because he had too many cards in his hand. I think the question is how many you got because I'm looking at running the Boston right now.
Okay, there you go.
That's a fair analysis.
Now, I went to 2 HBCUs and I had to admit that I don't know how to play spades. I went to Howard.
You went to Howard, and what was that? What was the other school?
Virginia Union.
Virginia Union.
Oh, that's cute.
I mean, that's about right though. Up north, they really don't know how to play spades that well, so that's okay.
I don't know how to play spades at all either. I don't know how to play spades at all either. I feel like I need to be taught. I went to an HBCU as well, the number one HBCU in the nation, Florida A&M University, sitting on the highest of 7 hills in Tallahassee, Florida. And I still don't know how to play spades, but that also could be because I'm Haitian, so we do dominoes.
But yeah, but they don't teach you after you get to 25. If you get to 25, no one can be taught. That's what I was told.
Okay.
These are facts.
Okay, so it's over for me. I can't even be the one at the doorway trying to see what they got going on because it's going to be like, girl, go sit down. We don't teach here.
Yeah, they're going to tell you to bring snacks.
Rebecca, you better
go get
I'm going to bring the snacks on your phone or something and learn that way.
Yeah, there's plenty of apps.
Wait, what you said?
There's plenty of apps to learn. In the year of our Lord, on Beyonce's internet, I don't believe I should be sitting down with somebody who don't know how to play spades. My wife don't. It's a FAMU thing. My wife doesn't know how to play spades.
It's a FAMU thing.
Well, I'm also Haitian. They don't play spades in Haiti. They play dominoes. They don't play spades. So I don't know.
Let me say this to all of you all. Since you all are equating spades to HBCUs, I'm going to put all y'all in the rookie category because before, when little white kids was learning how to play checkers, in the South, deep South, we would learn how to play spades at an early age. So trust and believe. He was not talking about what you're cutting. He was asking whether or not we're ready to run this Boston, okay?
Okay. I know that the closest I got to spades was whatever that damn card game was on, you know, when you first got the computer with the booty in the bag.
Solitaire?
You know, and they came with that.
Solitaire, Rebecca?
Yes.
You don't even know how to play Tonk? Goldfish?
Goldfish? Yeah.
Blessed be the name of the Lord. Let's go to the next one. I'm going to help my sister out here. What's the next one, somebody? I got a little delay. I don't know if it's on the screen. Here we go. Oh, okay. Now, this is the one. We wanted to show some stats on this. Now, we haven't shown this image yet. However, this thread on Twitter alone got 4 million impressions, and this was a couple of days ago. You probably are at 5 million. 9 million impressions.
He said, excuse me. Yesterday's price is not today's price. In the name of Jesus.
I got 19,000
price. Hallelujah. Yes.
19,000
yes, it was. I seen it.
Shade Room gets 19,000 comments.
Now, Rebecca, I know you know the answer to this question. This is not a question for you because I know you know. I have to ask the two gentlemen on the screen with me. What is the answer to this question?
Well, you know,
Black History. What day is it?
It's either.
Look at the photo.
Go ahead, Dr. Matt. Let Dr. Matt go. Yeah.
But look, it could be Sunday morning, Saturday night. You're getting ready for church, or it's gonna be Friday night. You're getting ready to go to the club on Saturday. So it's
and that's what I was
what age group you in.
And for me, it's giving me flashbacks. It's giving me flashbacks of a Saturday night or of the mid Saturdays when my mom washed my natural hair, had to part it in 4, had to detangle it. I was crying many just hours and hours. They couldn't get through it. Had to put the bulugogo, which the little barrettes at the end, but the bulugogo was the little bubble thingies that you put in your hair. Then I had to do ribbons because the other kids wasn't do ribbons, but my Haitian behind had to do ribbons, bulugogo, and the little things at the end. And then when she tried to press the front, how I got 5, 6, 7 braids in the back, and I got to look because she's doing the hot comb. It was on the stove. Now we got to bring me over by the stove and press that baby up like that. Now you could be using the blue magic grease, okay? You could be using. I love that grease. And there's different versions. You got the yellow one, you got the
green
red,
one, you
got the green, and you got the blue, you got the clear, right?
Or Dax. Y'all know y'all remember Dax.
To make sure.
Come on, somebody.
When you had like the edges that rolled up quick, they curled. I'm gonna say they curled up. You had to put that Dax on there to let her sit right. Then you had to wrap it up. Then you sleeping on all of that. That was dangerous for kids. All of this whole process, but you was good for Sunday morning because your mama made sure that she was gonna look. Your mama or your auntie, whoever was doing your hair, they made sure that she was looking good for Sunday morning for Bible study.
Just trust and believe, Queen. If they missed a spot, it was always really.
Oh my God, it was terrible.
Now listen, I just want to enhance this a little bit because some of the answers I saw weren't really answers, but they contextualized it. I saw people saying they could smell this image, and I promise you, I grew up with 3 sisters.
That's right.
I exactly.
A man walked in the house and he smelled that. He knew it wasn't no cooking going on. Mama was getting that hair right for them.
It was burnt hair. It was burning hair.
Burnt hair and skin.
And that's the other thing people said.
Here, but then Mama put a little Vaseline on it, just a little Vaseline right there, and a little bit of the green or the white alcohol, the clear alcohol. Just sit that right there like that there, and you good to go. And you good to go.
Make no mistake about it. If the Vaseline and none of that worked, a little spit.
Why? But why was it, Mama?
Like, here you go. Everybody know this. What Mama getting? She getting that little stain right there. Mama
right there, because the stain. You crying all day. Now you got the stain. But here's the thing: you sitting in church, but you had to be a certain age to be able to lay on your mama's lap. Because after that, it was get up right now. So I used to lay on my mama's lap, and she used to just taking her little spitty fingers and be like, yeah, rubbing me down. Like I'm like, what the? It's crazy. And then the strawberry printed candy, but the wrapper was printed in strawberry.
Yes. Oh, I love that candy.
Like strawberry, and it was at the bottom of the old lady next to you purse, way up in the bottom, like with the lint when she pulled it out. And
had a little bit of lint on it, but it was still good. Just a little bit of lint.
It didn't taste like a strawberry.
Pastor, I gotta say this. See. Everybody's saying Blue Magic and Dak, but see what I remember being that
I know what you're gonna say.
Of this group before it was Blue Magic, it was Afro Sheen, baby. That's what we had. Yes. We had the Afro Sheen.
You talking about that brown bottle with the brown writing on there that give you out a little juice on the front?
Orange. No. What color was that bottle?
It was yellow, wasn't it?
No, see what I'm saying, Pastor. Put a picture of some Afro Sheen up there and get them right.
I think Afro Sheen was green, wasn't it?
There you go.
Man, you're right. You just called it all out. I don't know.
I'm old enough to know that one.
I know what I do know. I know what I do know.
I had a sister who had to go through all of that, so I saw.
Youngers, I'm sick of y'all youngers. It was
the Soul Glow. I know Soul Glow. I know the Jerry Curl
people
juice.
People leaving curl juice on people's couches, on people's leather couches. That's why they had them wrapped in plastic.
That's why they got. Speaking of,
before there were Jerry curls, there were afros. It was Afro Sheen. That was the originator. And trust and believe now, if you couldn't afford the Afro Sheen, that Vaseline worked just fine.
Let's go to the next image. Let's go to the next image real quick. What you got next, doing?
I got you. What two statements
would your mother say before you entered the store, James?
You touch anything, I'm gonna hit you. Don't touch anything, and act like you got some sense when you go in the store.
That was close. You get partial credit for that one.
think the word touch was came out of my. I said, better not touch nothing.
No, I said you better not ask for sugar honey iced tea while we in the store.
We got the pastor on the screen, Dwayne. We got the pastor on the screen.
Those are the correct answers. You can't ask for nothing and you can't touch nothing.
Don't you? There it is. Every black person in America knows this one. Let's go to the next one, Dwayne. What we got next?
I think it was only,
last one.
We had
oh
only
man, my favorite one we don't have, which was the chairs in the living room with the plastic on it. The question is, what could you do in those rooms?
Nothing. Don't sit on it. Don't look at it. Don't play in there. Nothing. And they only utilize it for guests that really come in, and there has to be special guests that really come in there to
like
sit for about an hour.
Nah, see, hold on. Y'all had it good then, because my grandmama's house, there was a room with that in there, but then in the living room there was plastic on the furniture too. So I had to peel my butt up off the furniture in the summertime because it'd be hot and it'd be sticking. So there was plastic in the other room too, and it was very uncomfortable.
And then the plastic getting brown, the one that they left in the living room where it was hitting the window with the sun. Why would the plastic get that tan like that?
Pastor Hodges, listen, I want to thank you for these laughs, man. What made you? I know where it came from because, I mean, as everyone can see, we have a shared culture so rich and so deep that it's a phrase I took from Michael Eric Dyson. We transmit that Negro intimacy telepathically. We're laughing across the country about the fine nuances of black culture to the point where we can smell a damn picture. Forgive me, Pastor. Tell me about your journey in creating this post.
Okay. So on Saturday morning, a friend of mine was talking about, hot combs and grease. So she had posted the picture of Reverend Kim Ridley at Light Community Church. And I said, that would be I said, what if we had these pictures that we ask questions to? And then the kitchenista, she's a cook on Instagram and Twitter. She had cooked on Saturday morning. One of her posts was fried fish. And I was like, oh, it's fried fish. And then she threw some spaghetti in it. And I said, you know what? That's a weird African-American tradition when people eat fried fish on Fridays. And I know some folk, they eat spaghetti with it, which is a weird combination for me. I'm from DC. That's a weird combination. But I pastor in the South and they do that, fried fish and spaghetti. And I said, that's interesting. I said, I wonder if I put pictures up, if people would, I'll throw some questions with it. Because I did one with who your mother is not. And it's you got a choice, Boo Boo the Fool or one of your little friends. So
one of your little friends.
So I thought about Black Jeopardy. You got to ask what's the question or what is still. So anyway, I'm real serious, but a lot of times I like to joke and have fun, and because my work is kind of serious a lot, so a lot of times I can bring some fun to work. I thought I'd bring some fun to Twitter. Now, did I know it would blow up like that? No, it blew up. It blew up.
Well, with the way that Black History Month has been going, in the social media world, it was nice to see and have that moment and to be able to share that moment because it's a lot happening in these Black streets or these Black social media streets, and we needed something to just bring us back and hone us back into Black moments, just special Black moments. And this one was funny. This one had us all gathering, and and it shows us that Black is not a monolith, but at the same time, we kind of, all of our parents, depending on, where you
we lived in the same house.
But all of our parents, really went to the same school, but in different countries, but in different cities and states. We might add a little remix or something, but it's still at the end of the day, Black. And that's what I love about it.
Queen, to that, here's one universal question that defines whether or not you get your Black card. And I'm going to pose it to all of you right now. What is your favorite flavor of Kool-Aid?
Man, I answered that on the internet now.
Red.
That's like asking me if I like watermelon. I ain't saying that on this.
Red. You see, it's a Black thing.
Red.
What flavor do you want? Red.
Right.
Red.
I had put it up. I don't know if you can see it. That was one of my posts.
Can't sleep.
There you go. Because when you ask bougie Black folks that, they're like cherry, strawberry.
Strawberry.
You need to go home by your bed. And then
purple and red.
You ask white folks, they talking blueberry, purple. Man, get out of here.
Fruit punch.
See, you gotta get creative with it though. After I understand the red, but when I was making it, I was getting creative and mixing the purple with the lemon or mixing the red with the blue joint. You had to,
Because your mama bought more than one flavor.
You had to
your mama
mix
bought
and
more
match.
than one flavor. My mama came home with red every time.
No, you go get.
Rebecca,
you don't go get the big one. You go get the little individual packets that was like 10 cents a packet. So you can pick like 12.
We have
flavors.
a variety.
Yeah,
Listen,
it's just like
what y'all not gonna do is I got a season narrative. I got a season that y'all are not gonna turn this morning show into us talking about flavors of Kool-Aid. I'm gonna be the bougie one for a hot second here. No, I'm joking. Peach is actually
no, you ain't.
Because Ben was good adjacent.
Peach soda.
Kool-Aid?
I don't drink Kool-Aid. Peach soda. Peach soda from Winn-Dixie. That's my favorite soda.
Okay, I was about to say, what kind of peach soda? Check soda.
Chase, he's talking about Check
soda. There, yeah.
Y'all remember the Big 60?
Black folks in Mississippi rolling over right now talking about some damn peach soda. Red, that's
peach
it.
Soda.
You got it right. Now, I'm going to tell you what. Now, not only was it red, but what was the best part of the bologna?
The edge.
The little ring.
The little rubber band.
When you burn the
edges in the skillet.
Pull that through your mouth, you get all the nice edges out of it.
Okay. You know what? Let's do this.
But that was the best thing to do.
Oh my gosh.
Was the best thing to do. What? I still wake up on a Saturday morning and make a fried bologna and egg sandwich. Ain't no was.
Well, no problem.
They still make bologna? I didn't know they still make bologna in that way. I didn't even know they still sell it.
Girl, put a little slit in the middle so the bubble don't come. Man, burn that joint up a little bit. Throw an egg and some mustard on there. Boy,
it went real ghetto.
All I know is that the center of that bologna better burn.
Pastor Hodges, we apologize that we took it real left with you, but thank you so much for coming onto the show.
I had a post that talked about who has the best fighters. Is it KFC or Popeyes or Waffle House? I didn't put that up because I didn't want to offend anybody.
Oh, you didn't, but you didn't add Church's Chicken. In some areas, Church's Chicken is what it is.
No,
you said the best.
I don't think they can outfight Waffle House or Popeyes. So
Waffle House is it for me, especially here in Atlanta. Waffle House.
You mean who has the best fights in those restaurants? Okay, I get it now. Yeah. I think it would always be Waffle House.
Whose workers have the best hands?
Okay, the workers that have the best hands will always be Waffle House. I heard that in the interview process, they ask you,
can you fight?
Can you
And when they check criminal records at Waffle House, it's not a bad thing.
No, we need to know that you have been on two murder charges, but you got out. You free.
God ain't pleased with you,
bless God.
Oh my gosh!
Like at Waffle House, she rolled and they said, "Do you have a criminal background?"
We need that. Okay. We need that.
Like, they didn't check the box. You can't get hired here.
Have you committed any crimes yet? No. Okay, we need to go commit a crime first, and then we'll consider you for hiring.
You need to start committing crimes to work here at Waffle House. Here at Waffle House, we look forward to having people who have been through some things, stole a little something, stole somebody in the face, stole purses from a grandmother.
Oh my
God.
God.
We need people who have,
you have to have a certain amount of tattoos.
They're not smoking cigarettes. They're smoking weed in the back like it's a cigarette.
Pastor Hodges, what's the name? If you don't mind me asking, you're from DC, you're in the South. We're gonna ride this for the next 6 minutes. We ain't gonna talk no politics.
That's fine.
So y'all, what kind of church is it? Missionary Baptist? Is it Church of God in Christ? What kind of denomination you rocking with?
Well, I pastored the Second Baptist Church in Richmond, Virginia. And when you come to Richmond, you have to say Second Baptist Southside because it's the South, so there's more than one Second Baptist. So if you say Second Baptist Southside, you mentioned Ralph Hodge in Richmond, Virginia. Everybody knows me. And so if I'm not on my motorcycle, I'm at the church somewhere. But I love the Lord. I love my community. And, just a fun guy.
Pastor, y'all got a pastor biker gang.
We actually host the largest black biker ride in the state of Virginia. We have about 500 black bikers show up every year. We raise money for sickle cell. We have a VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, in Richmond, and they have what's called the Sickle Cell Initiative. It is named after one of my members who started doing sickle cell testing in the early 70s. And so we raise money. We've got 2 drugs that are in the process now. And they've been a review for sickle cell. So so because we're working the health department because we're one of those churches. We were doing the vaccine since February of 2020. So we work in partnership with local health departments. And one way to raise money, raise awareness.
That's awesome.
Is I get 500 brothers and sisters on motorcycles, and we drive parade through the city, and it gets the kids excited. It gets a reason for those of us who are riders to show off the ridiculous amount of money we spend on our bikes.
You must be driving a Harley. Are you doing Harley?
Oh yeah, I'm a road glide. Yeah, if you go to my Twitter page, I'm on one of my Harleys there, my black one. I got an orange one, but I'm on a black one there. So,
That's awesome.
but it's just a fun thing. But
Pastor, can you drop the name of that organization one more time in case people
it's
are able
the
to
Unity
help
Ride
contribute?
for Sickle Cell at Second Baptist Church.
Unity Ride for Sickle Cell, Second Baptist Church in Virginia.
Wow. Yeah, so we do it every.
I guess since you're in Virginia as well,
Dwayne.
Near.
Well, no, not he's near. He's in the region. The DMV.
Oh, you're in Maryland. You're from Virginia, but you're in Maryland.
No, I'm from DC.
DMV.
I'm from Texas, but
No,
when you say DMV,
listen, black men, my
when you
kings,
say
my
DMV,
brothers. Y'all all
you
from
don't
the
mean
South.
Southern Virginia. You only mean Northern Virginia.
So there's
those three places. When you say DMV, it's DC, Prince George's County, Montgomery County, and a little bit of Alexandria. That's it.
Right.
We don't consider.
Once you get
where
down
I'm at, we don't consider that DMV.
Richmond,
Someone said they from the DMV.
757 and 804.
Yeah, they asked some questions. Yeah, 804 is not a zip code for DMV.
Right.
Okay, so
learn something new every day.
I get it because like in Florida, the South Florida is a disconnect. It's like those three, the Tri-County area, Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade. It's separated from all of Florida.
The rest of Florida.
It's like the Caribbean down there. That they just call it the second part of the Caribbean. Like
it's like when you say you from Florida, it's like okay, but if you say from Miami, like what part? Like Miami, like not Miami, Florida. Okay, no, it's just Miami. Yeah. Oh, okay.
And when you say DMV,
stay on state. Stay on state.
The black part of DC area. That's when you say DMV. That's what you mean.
Okay.
I just love. I want to. Okay. We only have about 3 minutes left here, but I just want to just kind of say we brought you in this morning because that cultural icon of a post, right? I didn't know you had that many hits over there on the. Would you say the Shade Room? Was it like 19,000 comments? That's amazing.
I mean, you can't even read all the
9
comments.
million hits.
Right. But then we quickly found out that you're doing some serious work there in your community on the ground in ways that we probably should have you right back as soon as we can to discuss that program and how we can help and promote it.
That would be awesome. Like we do the ride every first Saturday in May. And so we start planning it now because we just finished our vaccination. We were a vaccination site and testing site for 365 days. And so we just finished that. So we're open. We haven't really moved to open our services yet because we were doing testing and vaccinations at the church, which was what we needed to do in our community. But now we're kind of, that's kind of, going down. So we're going back into our regular ministry. We'll open back up in March. And so we already started the planning for the Unity Ride. And I would love to come on and talk about sickle cell, talk about getting tested, what you need to do to get tested, and also how to support. One of the things we do at Second Baptist Church is we talk about racial health disparities and racial wealth disparities, but racial health disparities. We talk about that in partnership with our local hospitals and how African Americans need to get involved in organ donation, testing. A lot of times when they do testing for vaccinations and things, they don't have enough numbers of African Americans due to the historical issues of racial discrimination and different things that have happened to us with regards to healthcare. So there's some real reasons for hesitancy, but we also try to help people overcome that and realize what we should be involved in. Because a lot of times when they do testing, they don't have our numbers in that category. They don't have our people there.
Pastor, very, very quickly on sickle cell. Clearly, sickle cell was a disease that primarily affected African Americans. And at one time, there was a great deal of financial support going towards it. So can you just speak to how prevalent sickle cell is today and what the funding for sickle cell research looks like?
Hold on, my RoboVac just started. A real black moment there. I used to be able to rattle off a lot of facts. But sickle cell is a disease that affects a lot of people who have their DNA history that's around the Mediterranean. So you're going to see North Africans and you're going to see those Southern Europeans, Italians, have that trait. So if you have that, and so it's not just a primarily African American trait, but it is that area, North Africa, in that part of Southern Europe, like Italy. And so anyone who has that kind of DNA, so if you're Black, you need to get tested. Only because one person with sickle cell won't pass it on, but if a husband and wife or have sickle cell, they can pass it on to their child. And so the testing becomes important, because what happens, the blood vessels do what they call like a sickle. So instead of being kind of roundish, it's kind of curved. It doesn't flow through the bloodstream correctly, which causes extreme amount of pain. And they call them crises, sickle cell crisis. And when a person goes into that, it can be deadly. And a person with sickle cell does not always have a long lifespan. They don't live long, 40, 50, because of that. And they go into a crisis. And so during COVID, people had sickle cell, that was considered one of those kind of comorbidities that you got it, that could really damage you and hurt you. And so we wanted to make sure with COVID, hey, make sure you're tested, make sure it's a real simple blood test, doesn't take long to do. And a lot of places didn't do it automatically. Still don't do it automatically. The person, Florence Neal Cooper Smith at our church, who they call her the sickle cell pioneer in Virginia, she was the one that said, people need to be tested. And it's not just, like I said, African Americans. If you trace your roots back to North Africa, which is most Northwest Africa to most of us, but also Europeans who are Southern Europeans, Greece, Greek, if you're Greek or Italian, you definitely need to be checked, because it originated in the Mediterranean area. That's what they say.
Wow, that's something. And I mean, we're here now, and I mean, we there's no rush. But the reason, do you have the information as to why the blood developed that way in that specific reason? And was that development a result of kind of like survival for us in that region?
I can probably get that information, because the person that runs Dr. Wally, who runs the Sickle Cell Initiative at Virginia Commonwealth University, is a good friend of mine, and I can ask him to get all that information. Yeah. If you guys can bring me back to talk about sickle cell,
I will bring you back.
I will have
definitely bring you back.
All of the data. I just wasn't prepared today.
We came in laughing this morning. Yeah, I love it.
But I would definitely share that, and just make sure you have their contacts too if you want to get more information. But it is important for African Americans, especially if you plan on having a family, to get tested and to know, and your partner to know what your sickle cell situation is, so that you understand what you're getting into if you both carry the sickle cell trait.
Well, folks, I think that's as good a place as any. Did not our hearts burn within? I know all the pastor colloquials.
You sound like you're from church now. Don't go to church.
I grew up. Wait. If I had a Hammond,
we have
honestly,
church folks on the show, then you want to start tapping in, because usually it'd be like, I'm a Sunday school dropout, I'm a pastoral dropout.
I don't even do the church no more.
And he's trying to tap in, like, let not our hearts be weary, and we don't. You're still in the streets with us, okay?
I am. I'll see y'all. I might do an Instagram.
And the Lord still loves us. Thank you so much, Dr. Hodge, for coming on to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, Pastor Hodges, thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Pastor Hodges,
let's see everybody tomorrow. Take care, everybody.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
All right, y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. We are going over to the after party. Since I ain't playing it, we had the good pastor on. I couldn't get sneezy. Now I can play a little bit of it at least. And man, greatly appreciate everybody for tuning in this morning. So make sure that Patreon.com/patreon.com/TheBeatTV, y'all. Patreon party tomorrow is going down, all like everything. And no, that doesn't mean that you have to be black to be there, but it's gonna be some black ass music. I'm just letting you know. Really black. Blackity black. Whoopi's gums black. Bernie Mac black. Just black. Stay dropping them jams. Bruce Lee boy black. It's going down. My lips black. Okay? Y'all make sure that y'all stay tuned. We going over to the after party.